does prominence select for good behavior? So we just define good behavior as something that overall increases basically the goodness in you. And bad behavior is the opposite. That's a very simplified definition, but nevertheless we need a definition like this in order to actually discuss something like this. So if you are a given person, and then many people just know you more, or many more people know you, then a certain percentage of people probably will always not like you, depending of course on your character and your ratio of good behavior compared to bad behavior. But if you now just take any person and basically increase the size of the observers, then many more people, given a scaling of basically the size of the audience, many more people will know this person, and also the size of the haters basically increases and scales with the size of the overall audience. So if in the beginning you know only 100 people, compared to 1 million for example, then you have a potential upside also in the hater department. So what this means is potentially that all of these people now much more look into you. There are reporters, there are newspapers that potentially want to hurt you. And there are also just people who you could consider as your enemies, who maybe want to run a political campaign that that doesn't not align with your political campaign, because there is only one beneficiary of the political campaign, because only one can get elected. So therefore, I think to some extent, if you increase the audience, or the audience being defined as the people who know you, but you don't personally know them, so you could also say social media audience. If you just increase this audience and scale it up, and you just say that the percentages or the ratios of people liking you, people being neutral to you, and people basically not caring about you, and also people hating you or having potential negative associations with you, just scale up linearly. So what this means for you is, or not what this means for you, but what this means for the people who are prominent already now, is that they had to go through this process. And now, if this is a timeline, and here is the potential start of prominence, and here is the potential end, which is now, then over time, because of the increased risk of exposing your bad behavior, and also historic bad behavior, if you are still persisting now, then you are basically belonging to a subset of people that made it through all of these hurdles, that made it through all of these proofs, or made it through all of these tests reporters and news journalists came up with. And therefore, if you are still prominent to this day, and you haven't been cancelled, and therefore basically falling into oblivion or irrelevance, this, I think, kind of means that prominence, at least to some extent, selects for good behavior. Of course, we also, at least to some extent, have to mention that you also can be infamous. But this is not really the thing we want to discuss, and I kind of, in my mind at least, defined prominence as being prominent or famous for something good and not for something that is not good. Being a serial killer, for example, would be a very good example for bad behavior.